It's late May in 1987. At the theater, we had Matthew Broderick and a monkey, Bruce Willis and a bass singer, and two of the biggest names in one of the biggest flops of all time. The Billboard chart was on fire this week with huge names such as Bon Jovi, Cyndi Lauper, Paul Simon, U2, and Madonna all in the top 40 list. On television, we're watching an ex-football player, then an ex-baseball player, and finally, two of the coolest dudes ever dressing sharply and taking down the bad guys in Miami. You're watching This Week in the 80s, so click that subscribe button and get ready to go back to 1987. Let's take a look at who drew in the money on This Week in 1987. Number 12 on the list, Hot Pursuit. Hot Pursuit, you remember it was John Cusack, and it was the rich family who left him behind, and he had to go track him down. They ended up on like the pot smoking island, and there was girls in bikinis and pirates and corrupt cops, and it was a comedy. It was an action comedy. It wasn't very good, but it did have a young John Cusack and also a young Ben Stiller. Good start to their careers. Number 11, Extreme Prejudice. Number 10, Raising Arizona. Son, you got a panty on your head. I love that movie. I always will. Number 9 was Gardens of Stone. This is a Francis Ford Coppola war flick. It was kind of limited in its release. It didn't do as well as people had planned. At number 8 on the list, we had Project X with Matthew Broderick. Now, this was the one where he had the chimpanzee, and it was supposed to be, they were testing to see how he could deal with G-force, but it was how he can deal with G-force and nuclear reaction. So obviously the woman comes in and they all save the day. The story with this one that was interesting, though, was Bob Barker got involved in protesting this. Remember, Bob was really big in the whole spay and neuter your cats and dogs, which I fully support, of course, and be nice to animals and all that. So he comes out and he files this big lawsuit against them for animal cruelty. But during the filming, they actually had like the American Association Against Animal Cruelty, some big high up company that was making sure that the monkeys were well taken care of. So it was a big, long fight. And finally, they sued back at Bob for defamation and they won. And Bob's insurance company ended up paying out like $300,000 or something. I don't fault him, though. Anytime you can stick your neck out for animals, you should do so. Number 6 on the list was Creepshow 2, because Creepshow 1 just wasn't enough for us. Number 5, 11 weeks in the movies and still going strong, Lethal Weapon. Number 4 was Blind Date, typical 80s romp with Bruce Willis, Kim Basinger, John Larroquette as the bad guy. John Larroquette's like the ultimate bad guy. Even when he was playing Dan Fielding in Night Court, he was still kind of like the bad guy, bad boy, bad guy, take your pick. But he's a great bad guy in this one. And of course, in the end, Bruce Willis gets the girl. Number 3 on the list is The Secret of My Success. Michael J. Fox as Brantley Foster, starting out in the mailroom, getting hit on by the president's wife, and the other woman there, Helen Slater, is all over him too. And that's the one he likes, but he can't disappoint the old lady, even though she knows he's her nephew. And he ends up getting the office upstairs and he has to play both roles. Like, all of this was how I thought business was going to be. I thought I could just kind of slide in at a low-level job and get promoted a bunch of times and have a great job at the end. Well, that's not how business works. Number 1 and number 2 this week were two just simply bad movies. The Gate and Ishtar. They were separated by about $80,000, released in the same number of theaters, released at the same time. Ishtar ended up coming in number 1, The Gate number 2. The Gate's kind of forgotten about. Ishtar is well remembered because they spent a ton of money on it and it was a flop. If you get a chance, you got to see it. You won't believe how bad it is. Are you enjoying this trip back with me to 1987? If you are, make sure you click the subscribe button down below. You know, sometimes when I'm looking at the music on the chart that I'm about to run down, I'm a little bit disappointed in some of the bands or some of the songs because I don't really like them, or they weren't very popular. They didn't have much staying power. And then there are weeks like this. 1987 was just awesome for music. It was just superstar after superstar. And, you know, I always remind you, think about the radio. Think about when you're driving down the street and you're listening to your local radio station. For me, 103.3 WHTT or 104.1 WBCN. A little bit later, it was 94.5 WZOU. Tune into the Zoo with Karen Blake. Karen Blake, if you ever watch this, or if you are ever even told to watch this, please contact me. You are amazing. This week, listen to it. Think about it. This stuff is on the radio. You're driving down the street. You're listening to your music. You got it cranked up. You know, the tape deck's not working. So this is what you're listening to. And it's just awesome music. Number 40, Come As You Are by Peter Wolf. You know, the guy, lead singer from Jay Giles that a lot of people thought was Jay Giles, but Jay Giles is actually the weird dude with glasses in the back. Peter Wolf, lead singer of Jay Giles' band, Come As You Are, all the way at number 40. It's already been on the charts for 12 weeks, and it's not like Peter Wolf was all that popular, but that's a pretty fun song. A new song on the charts, breaking in first week on the charts. It might end up moving a little bit further, a little bit higher up as time goes on. I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston. I'm not going to tell you that I'm a Whitney Houston fan because, I mean, I'm not. I don't have one Whitney Houston song on any playlist that isn't just a random 80s playlist. But this is a good song. And I know all the words, right? Because we listened to the radio. That's what we did. You know, we didn't have the option to listen to anything at any time. You put on the radio and whatever was on was on. And if you change it to the other station, sometimes that same song's playing. 37, Level 42, Lessons in Love. 36, Company B with Fascinated. 35, Kenny G with Songbird. Kenny G in the top 40. I don't know how it happens. Listen, Kenny G is a super talented dude, but his music's about as fun to listen to as his face is to look at. Number 34, I'd rather listen to Kenny G than this song, though. Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by Starship. Nope, never. Never play Starship in my presence. Whatever's playing, it's going to go out the window. Number 33, Just to See Her, Smokey Robinson. 32, Kool and the Gang, Stone Love. 31, The Thompson Twins, Get That Love. The Thompson Twins were pretty much past their prime at this point, but they were still checking in with some good stuff. Number 30, Psychedelic Furs, Heartbreak Beat. 29, You Can Call Me Al by Paul Simon. That song's just a great tune. That's one that you can crank up, you can dance to, you can crank at a red light and see if anyone else knows it. Nobody does, but you can crank it and try out anyway. It's much more likely that someone's going to like You Can Call Me Al by Paul Simon than what's at number 28, which is Donna Allen's Serious. Seriously? No, don't want it. 27, The Right Thing by Simply Red. 26, Meet Me Halfway by Kenny Loggins. Kenny Danger Zone Loggins. Sorry, Kenny. You're just Danger Zone Loggins to me. 25, David Bowie, Day In, Day Out. David was pretty much running out of time on the music charts at this point, but he was still at number 25, which is a lot higher than my best song ever got to, which was Nowhere. 24, Into Deep by Genesis. 23, Diamonds by Herb Alpert. You know, they made John Mellencamp change his name to John Cougar, but they let Herb Alpert get away with it. I don't understand Hollywood. Number 22, Aretha and George Michael with I Knew You Were Waiting. 21, If She Would Have Been Faithful by Chicago. Number 20, Lionel Richie, Say La. 19, Lisa and Cult Jam, Head to Toe. I guess Full Force wasn't available that day. Number 18, a super 80s man, Steve Winwood with The Finer Things. I know he was in Love and Spoonful, but I always associate him with the 80s. Also with the 80s, number 17, Prince, Sign of the Times. I'm not much on my Prince history, but I know a Prince song when I hear it, and I usually like it. Number 16, What's Going On? Cyndi Lauper. Number 15, Neil Finn and Crowded House with Don't Dream It's Over. Hey Now, Hey Now. Number 14, one of my favorite songs of all time. Now, I have a thing for the Wild West. I listen to a lot of Wild West podcasts. I do a lot of reading on the Wild West. Like, it's for me. I watched all the Wild West movies. I can quote Young Guns from beginning to end and then pick up where Young Guns 2 starts and go all the way to the end of that as well. And that's one of the reasons why I happen to love Bon Jovi's Wanted, Dead or Alive. Now, this song is badass. It's crankable. It's crankable no matter where you are. Turn it up and sing it as loud as you can. And if you can do the Richie Sambora, you're better than I am. Another cool thing about the Wanted, Dead or Alive is that was the big acoustic jam that sort of launched MTV's Unplugged series, because everyone heard that version of Wanted, Dead or Alive, like, holy crap, that's amazing. Let's get more. Next thing you know, MTV, who's never afraid to exploit anything, jumped all over it. And we got some really great unplugged versions of stuff. REM did an awesome unplugged version. Nirvana obviously did an awesome one as well. But this one all is where it started. Wanted, Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi. Number 13, Glenn Medeiros, Nothing's Going to Change My Love for You, except making you listen to that song 3 times, and you'll probably pack your stuff and leave. Number 12, I Know What I Like by Huey Lewis and the News. This one wasn't for me. I love Huey Lewis. Huey Lewis and the News, sports is amazing. The second one is good, right? But here we are, and I Know What I Like that's as bad as Hip to Be Square. Number 11, Right on Track by The Breakfast Club. Number 10, Always by Atlantic Starr. Number 9, Bret Michaels and CC Check In with Talk Dirty to Me. That's a fun song. That's another one that you can just crank up. It's probably just destroyed by the critics, but I'm not one of the critics, so I don't care. I love that song. It's fun to crank. It's fun to sing along to. Number 8, Keep Me Hanging On by Kim Wilde, another great song. Number 7, Big Love, Fleetwood Mac. I was never a Fleetwood Mac guy. Too many people, too many songs that just didn't hit home for me. Number 6, Bryan Adams, Heat of the Night. I had a Bryan Adams poster on my wall when I was a kid. It's actually on the door of my room. I also had Adamant, Ray Bork, and U2. Number 5, Lady in Red by Krista Burgh. Number 4, Madonna again, La Isla Bonita. Number 3, how's this for 80s for you? I Just Died in Your Arms by The Cutting Crew. I wish these guys could have done more because that right there is a fantastic tune. Blast it. Number 2, Looking for a New Love by Jody Watley. And the number 1 song on the Billboard charts for this week in May of 1987. After 9 weeks on the chart, last week it was number 3. This week it's number 1. That's With or Without You by U2. The Joshua Tree is an amazing album from beginning to end. Sometimes I skip In God's Country because it's kind of an annoying song, but the rest of the album is just fantastic. And even if you're not a U2 fan, like that's okay. You can still like this album because it's just good music. If you don't like Bono, first of all, I don't understand why people don't like Bono. Everyone says, oh, he's so full of himself. Well, the guy's made almost $1 billion. So he's kind of got that in his back pocket. And he's also spent most of his time trying to help others. He's got that in his back pocket. Oh, and he's been a rock star for 40 plus years, and he has not had one scandal. He's an amazing man. And he's on the list of people I would like to meet before I die. Other people include Wayne Gretzky and any U.S. president up to and including Barack Obama. You know what's as much fun as taking a trip back to the 80s? Taking a trip back to the 80s every week. Make sure you click that subscribe button down below so you don't miss anything. It's May 22nd, 1987. It's Friday night. What are you watching on television? Well, if you don't want to laugh, you're probably watching CBS and their special on killer whales. No thanks. You might be going with NBC and their special on Snow White's anniversary. No thanks. I'm sticking with ABC because at 8 o'clock, it's Webster. Alex Karras, the former All-Pro for the Detroit Lions, and Emmanuel Lewis, and a comedy about a really big dude and a really little kid. The short jokes were just relentless on this one, and Webster was the cute kid, and that was basically the entire show, and we watched it and we loved it. At 8:30, Mr. Belvedere. Bob Uecker playing a sports writer, fitting in pretty well in that one, and his super hoity butler trying to deal with living and working for said sports writer. Anytime you can put Bob Uecker on television, I'm probably going to watch. That guy kills me. At the 9 o'clock slot, only NBC was worth watching. And ABC and CBS knew it. They knew they couldn't put anything else on. So ABC went with the made-for-TV movie In Self-Defense. CBS went with the made-for-TV movie Poker Alice. Now, usually the made-for-TV movies are just throwaways because they know that they're going to lose the slot to the other channel. But in this case, Poker Alice was Elizabeth Taylor and Tom Skerritt, George Hamilton, and it actually did really well and won the night. I didn't watch that, though, because what was I doing? Watching Miami Vice, as if there was anything to do on a Friday night at 9 o'clock when you're 14 years old. Then watch Miami Vice. We were addicted to this show as kids. This was everything to us. I can remember my school used to hold dances. Like I remember 8th and 9th grade, school holding dances, and we would have long drawn out conversations at the lunch table of what we're going to do. Like, are we going to go to the dance? Because, you know, we're 13, 14-year-old boys. We want to go to the dance, but we want to watch Miami Vice. And so we would make like pacts, like, all right, we'll all go to the dance. We'll all record it, but no one can discuss the show until everyone has watched it. That was just the deal we would make on dance nights. And sometimes a bunch of us wouldn't go anyway and stay home and watch the show because we just couldn't help ourselves. All right, that's going to do it for me here from May of 1987. So make sure you check the playlist section frequently because I update it all the time. Thanks so much for sticking around. Don't forget to click subscribe. Don't forget to click the like button. Leave me a comment and tell me if there were any of those songs that I got wrong. And I'll see you next week for more This Week in the 80s.